read at the beginning of Tazria, laws which pertain to a woman who gives birth. And it begins when a woman conceives, she gives birth to a male. The first 7 days, whether she bleeds, whether she doesn't bleed, she's contaminated for 7 days as a menstruant. The next 33 days, even if she continues to bleed, and the blood is the equivalent of menstrual blood, she's not considered contaminated. She's permitted to a husband. If she gives birth to a female, to a girl, she's contaminated for 2 weeks. And a period of purity, although she continues to bleed for 66 days, she's pure. So Rashi cites the Midrash, Omer Simloi, as we find that the creation or the formation of man was after the Torah tells us about the creation of the domesticated, undomesticated animals and the birds. So it precedes the creation of man. Identically, the laws which classify what is the kosher species now, what's not the kosher species, which we read in last week's parsha, is stated first, and then we state the laws which pertain to the person. So the laws which pertain to the human being also stated after the laws which pertain to the various species of animals and birds. What exactly is the Torah telling us? Rabbeinu Bachya writes in the introduction to the parsha that whatever is last always indicates it's more special, especially if what preceded, what we conclude with, is there only to accommodate the person at the end. For instance, he says if a person wants to build a house, purchase a piece of land, gets himself an architect, a basin, and whatever's needed to construct that building. And you consult with the person what are his needs. And after the structure and the residence is ready, then you bring the person to bring him into the residence. Do you bring the person to the residence before the residence even exists? Of course not. So what does it tell us? That tells us that the value of the residence is only to accommodate the needs of the person who's going to be the resident of that location. Identically, the objective of creation is the function of the human being. That's the objective, to address his purpose, his needs. But therefore, Adam, in terms of his spirit, as it says in Chazal, Ruach Elokim Rachef Sal Pnei Hamayim, the Spirit of God is hovering over the water, that's his neshama. But to bring him into existence, which is a composite of the physical and the spiritual, that only came at the end of creation. Because everything had to be in place for Adam immediately as he enters into existence and he's created, he should be able to be a fully functional person with all the amenities of creation in place. He should be able to actually function as the Adam, which Atem Kriyim Adam, that he's the Adam, he's that purposeful, valuable person. Identically, the Torah, to emphasize this point, first the Torah discusses the laws which pertain to the animal, as the Torah created the animal before the human being. And only once we speak about the laws, the classification of animals, what's the kosher species, what's the not kosher species, do we speak about the laws which pertain to the person himself. Now let's understand, but the laws which pertain to the species only have relevance to the Adam. Only have relevance to the Adam. We're speaking to the Jew. When we speak about creation initially, until the human being is introduced to existence, you'd say maybe the world exists for the animal, for the fish, for the reptile, and for the insects. When man comes at the end, we understand, in retrospect, it's all to accommodate him. But the laws, when we speak about the laws which pertain to the animal, what's the kosher species, what's not the kosher species, it's inherent in the statement, just in the laws, that this only has relevance to the person. So what do you mean the laws preceded the human being? We find the Torah tells us that the only hide which qualifies for tefillin, mezuzah, or a sefer Torah is only of a kosher species. Even if the species is not slaughtered, as long as the species is a kosher species, it qualifies. Now, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu create a kosher species with a hide? For what reason? The answer is because since there's halacha, the laws of tefillin and mezuzah and Sefer Torah, which need the hide and the parchment to write the Sefer Torah, tefillin, mezuzah on them, therefore you have to have a hide, because without that you can't. So the laws that we say, so the creation as they were creating the physicality, or chewing the cud and having split hooves, why were they created in this context? Because regarding the spirituality of the Jew, that has to be in place so that you touch the Jew in a special way. Otherwise, you'd say it's random. He created because that's the way this animal looks. The deer looks like that. It chews its cud, has split hooves. The pig has split hooves and doesn't chew its cud. So what? Why? Because that's the way it is. No. It's only because the Jew has laws, but that's only when the Jew is introduced on the scene. Then in retrospect, we understand that these laws they were created in that manner, physicality speaking, and their makeup only because it has relevance to the Jew. That's exactly what the Torah is saying. There's no aspect of existence, even in its physical form, not only in the halacha, the halacha is only the cause of the physical form. To tell us again, to emphasize the point that who is the center of the universe, the human being is as he came initially in creation, at the end of creation, identically his laws are stated only after the laws which pertain to the animal.